Hi, my name is Cece Ziegler. Welcome to Lunch and Learn today. Our topic is Give It a Shot, Your Health is Worth It, and we'll be talking about the importance of having a seasonal flu vaccine. Let's start out by playing a game called By the Numbers. According to the CDC, or the Center for Disease Control, these three numbers represent something. Does anybody want to take a guess at what 200,000 might represent? Chris?
People who get the flu seasonally?
I'm close. It's actually individuals who get hospitalized from the flu due to complications. How about the 36,000?
People who die from the flu.
Absolutely. Last year, 36,000 people died. How about 66? This is a tough one. This is actually 66% of all infections could have been prevented in children if they had had a flu vaccine. So, there's different types of flus. However, today we're going to be discussing primarily the seasonal flu and some of the basics regarding it. Really lovely picture. That's what the flu looks like when it's in your body. Knowledge is power when it comes to preventing the flu, and I really want to today to help you understand the importance of flu, and also I want you to stay well and healthy. Influenza, otherwise known as the flu, is a viral infection that is primarily respiratory, so it affects your nose, your throat, your bronchial tubes, and your lungs. Influenza viruses that cause the flu are divided into three different types. There's type A, B, and C. And type A and B are primarily responsible for the epidemics that we see starting late fall through the winter that cause the respiratory types of illnesses. And they're the ones associated with the increase in hospitalization rates and even death. So the flu vaccine that we have is targeted towards type A and B. So, how does it spread? Well, it spreads from person to person through coughing or sneezing. Those little droplets spread, and that's why we've been trying to educate the public not to sneeze in your hand, because after you do that, it can go everywhere you touch. Rather, you're supposed to sneeze and cough in the crook of your elbow. And one important statistic that I want you to come away with is that beginning one day before the symptoms develop and up to 5 to 7 days after you've been sick, you're still contagious. You can still get the flu to somebody else. So just because you're feeling well doesn't mean you aren't a carrier. How many of you have felt like this poor guy? Raise the hands. Has almost everybody had the flu to some extent? Well, the flu consists of fevers, chills, really extreme tiredness, muscle aches, of course all the respiratory things like the dry cough, the sneezing, stuffy nose. It's just miserable. It's obvious that most people don't want to become sick, so what can we do to prevent this? Let's talk about those who should get the flu vaccine. Those who are in their high-risk category that need to consider it are ages 6 months through 19. Those are target years. And also 50 years old or older, pregnant women, and those with chronic medical diseases like conditions like diabetes, asthma, heart, lung, kidney disease. And also if you're living in a nursing home or if you actually care for high-risk people. A word of caution, however, there are some people who should not get the flu vaccine, and that is those who've had an allergic reaction when they've had a vaccine, one of the vaccines. They also should not have it if you're allergic to egg, because that's how the vaccine is actually produced. It's created in a fertile chicken egg. They seed it, and that's how it grows. And also, if you've ever had Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a serious autoimmune disease. And lastly, if you're just not feeling good, if you have a fever, don't get the shot. Wait till you feel better and then go get it. There are two types of vaccines. One is the shot, and that is actually what they consider inactivated or dead. What happens, it takes about 2 weeks for the antigens that go into your body to build up antibodies, and so there's a 2-week period of time where you still may come down with the flu. Whereas the nasal spray is live life, and it actually is pretty immediate. And you might come down with just a few mild symptoms like the next day, but nothing like a full-blown flu because it is live. So why get a flu shot? I've got a globe right here that I want you to take a look at. In 1918 to 1919, 20 to 40% of the entire population of the world came down with the flu. This was such a pandemic that all modern pandemics have been measured against it. 50 million people died worldwide from this episode. And that's more, according to Wikipedia, that is more than 3 times the casualties we saw in World War I, making it the deadliest natural human disaster ever. Also, keep in mind that the influenza virus mutates, and very quickly, so it renders the previous year's vaccine, it just nullifies it because it mutates and it changes strains. So, fever, sore throat, achy body, and death. Those sounds like things that we don't want to experience. But still, there's people who are afraid of getting the flu. So I kind of want to run through some of the myths and realities. The first one is avoiding sick people will help prevent the flu. Might help a little bit, but chances are, because I told you, you might be well, and a day before you start having the symptoms, you could already be a carrier of the flu. Also, you can get flu by touching surfaces that have been contaminated. I don't get the flu, so I don't need the flu shot. Well, then you might as well pay the lottery because you've just gotten lucky. Because there is nobody that's immune to the flu. And it's, according to the CDC, it's the 6th leading cause of death. Next one is people can die from the flu. Absolutely true. We've talked about that. This past year, 36,000 people died. Next one is the flu shot can give you the flu. Anybody believe that? Well, I'll tell you what, this is the biggest myth. That is not true. As I told you, you might get mild symptoms from the nasal, but the injection takes 2 weeks. Having the flu already the season protects you from getting it again. Unfortunately not. There's a type A and a type B. Okay? So you could have a type A and not have had the type B. And lastly, only those at high risk should get the flu vaccine. Unfortunately not. Even if you're not in a high risk category, you can still spread it to people at work and at home. So, excuses, excuses, excuses. There is no reason a person should not get the flu vaccine. As indicated, the flu virus is extremely contagious and is deadly. It's the single best way to prevent the flu is the vaccination. Imagine waking up one day, feeling fine, maybe working out that morning, going to work, and by the evening you would be dead. That's what happened in 1918. So I don't want you to be one of the 200,000 people that get hospitalized. And I certainly don't want you to be one of the 36,000 that die. So I want you to protect yourself. And I want you to make sure you avoid this very contagious virus. Why not give it a shot? Your health is worth it, isn't it? Are there any questions today? Sure.
Why does it seem like every year there's a shortage of the flu vaccine?
Yeah, and that's a good question. This year it's because the manufacturers had to quit making the seasonal flu and switch over to the H1N1 virus production. But some years there's just a strong demand. And another reason is because it's hard to make the actual virus. Like I said, it's in a chicken egg, and sometimes it doesn't seed fast enough. So production time is cut back, and they don't have enough time to get it all produced in time for the flu season. Great question.
Does the flu vaccine you get cover type A and B?
The flu vaccine for seasonal flu does cover type A and B, absolutely. That's why you want to get it, just in case you get type A or type B. A lot of people think, oh, I had the flu, I'm taken care of, I'm immune.
What about H1N1?
H1N1, great question. H1N1 is a separate type of flu, okay, also known as the swine flu. This year, they're going to be combining it with the type A, type B seasonal flu, so it's all going to be given in one shot. Okay, any other questions? Thanks a lot. I appreciate you participating today.